So this presentation is going to be geared specifically for business preparation students, or as we like to call them, business prep students. You're a business prep student if you were missing one or more of the 7 lower division classes needed to transfer directly into the business administration major. You still have the opportunity to apply to business administration, but there are certain selecting criteria that you will need to complete prior to applying to the program. And we're going to be going over what those selecting criteria are. So number 1 would be completing all missing prerequisite courses. Number 2 would be completion of either IGETC certification or UCR breadth requirements, which is what we call general education. Number 3 would be maintaining the GPA standard necessary to get into the program. And number 4 would be completing all of the requirements within the specified time frame. So let's break those down a little bit so that way you have a better understanding of what you need to do. So the first thing that you will need to complete is your prerequisite courses. And so let's talk about what those prerequisite courses are. As you can see, there are 8 classes listed there. So a minute ago I was telling you that you didn't have one of the 7 classes. Well, there are actually 8 prerequisite classes that the students need to complete in order to get into the program. But that upper division course you were not able to take at your community college because it's a junior senior level class. So as a result, you will be taking it here at UCR. You are still required to complete that class in order to get into the major. So the 8 classes are Introduction to Business, Financial and Accounting and Reporting, which is basically Intro to Financial Accounting, Intro to Computing, Macroeconomics, Microeconomics, Calculus for Business, Statistics for Business, and then that upper division econ class. So you have a choice. You could either take the upper division micro econ class or the upper division macro econ class. But again, all 8 of those classes need to be done before you actually apply for the business administration major. Now, selecting criteria number 2 is actually going to be completion of IGETC certification or UCR breadth requirements. For those of you who are applying or transferring from the California Community College system, you were eligible for IGETC certification. And IGETC is basically the general education pattern that the Cal States and the UCs accept in lieu of doing their general education, or what we call breadth. So if you have full IGETC certification, then you don't have to worry. You're done with all of your general education. You're basically going to be working on completing your missing prerequisite courses and then your upper division courses. Now, there is another type of IGETC certification that some students have, and that's partial IGETC. So partial IGETC are students who are missing 1 or 2 of those IGETC requirements. Your community college will actually send us a form that states specifically what classes you're missing, and we will only hold you to the 2 classes, 1 or 2 classes that you're missing. Those classes can either be taken here at UCR or you can go back and take them at your community college. It is up to you, but again, you do need to complete whatever partial requirements that you were missing. You need to get those completed in order to apply for the business administration major. Now, some students are transferring from outside of the state of California, or they're transferring from another 4-year institution, or for whatever reason at their community college they just didn't do IGETC certification. For you, you will be held to the UCR breadth requirements. Now, before you get too stressed out, let me say that a lot of the courses that you took already are going to be fulfilling our breadth requirements. You might have taken some of them for general interest. A lot of them were classes you took for the prerequisites for business. But I do typically see some classes that most students have to complete because for whatever reason they just didn't take it. Now, this might not necessarily apply to you, but just to give you a general idea for those of you who have to do UCR breadth, this is typically what I see students needing to complete. Oftentimes an ethnic studies class has not been done. World history is one I often see is not done either. You might have taken U.S. history, you might have taken Western civilization, but world history was not something you take, and you do have to take a formal world history class here at UCR. The third thing that I often see students not meeting is the foreign language requirement. So we require students to have equivalent to a year's worth of knowledge. How you get to that year's worth of knowledge can be because you test out, because you already speak something fluently. It could be because you took a series of classes to build yourself up to that. In the community college, students are able to use their high school coursework in order to get this met, but here at UCR we don't. You actually have to either test out or take the courses. So inevitably, students who are doing UCR breadth frequently are missing at least 3 to 5 classes, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, depending on your situation. For you students, it is going to be critical that you stay in contact with your academic advisor to ensure that you're taking the correct classes in order to major change into business. There is one caveat I would like to say. The foreign language requirement and the English composition, the third quarter level, those you have to do in order to graduate. You don't have to get those done in order to apply for the business major. So those you have a little bit of time to take care of. But the other remaining breadth classes, those would have to be done prior to applying to the business administration major. So the third selecting criteria that we have is going to be the GPA requirement. So in order to major change into business administration, you need to have a UC GPA of a 2.5. 2.5 for UC courses only. I have to admit the UCs are a little snobby. We only accept UC grades when it comes to your cumulative GPA. So you might have had a wonderful 3.8 at your community college, but unfortunately that isn't following you here. On the positive side, however, you all are starting off with a 4.0, and what you do with that 4.0 is dependent on how you do over your 2 years here at UCR. But you all could graduate with 4.0s if you were able to pull A's and everything here at UCR. So with that said, the bare minimum GPA in order to get into the business administration major is a 2.5 UC GPA. So again, in that instance, we're only calculating the coursework that you've done here at UCR. But there's a second GPA requirement, which is your prerequisite area. So remember, I talked about those 8 prerequisite courses, which for many of you did outside of UCR. In that particular area, it's going to be a combination GPA of your prior institution and your courses here at UCR. So it's going to be a combination of both of that. Wherever you took the class, we're going to take that grade and calculate it into the GPA. So again, the cumulative GPA is 2.5 UC only. The prerequisite GPA is a combination of prior institution and UC composite for that 2.5. Both of those are 2.5. Both of them have to be met. Now, the fourth selecting criteria is actually going to be the amount of time that you have in order to get all of these courses done. And this is the part where it might get a little scary for you, but trust me, this is something that's very doable. All of your missing coursework needs to be done within your very first quarter here at UCR, meaning that any of your prerequisite courses or your breadth courses or your partial IGETC, all of that has to be completed within your first quarter in order to stay eligible for the program. With that said, before you start freaking out, I do want to let you know that for some of you, you might have more than 1 quarter's worth of classes, and we understand that. That's where communicating with your advisor is going to be key, because you could be someone who's eligible for an extension, and you actually would be able to get a second quarter, winter quarter, to get everything done. Now, there also might be instances where you're not able to get into the class that you really need for the fall quarter. Business classes we saved for you guys, but we didn't really have control over other departments' classes, so some things are closed, and we realize that, and we're not going to hold that against you. We really do encourage everybody to try and get everything done in the fall, but if something happens and you need that extension to the winter, please talk to your advisor to find out how to apply for an extension. Don't assume that you're going to get it. You need to get approval for that extension for winter. So everybody, regardless, will have everything done, if not by the end of fall, definitely by the end of winter. Winter is the absolute deadline to get your coursework done and apply for the business administration major. If you don't get your courses done by the end of winter, then you would have to change to a different major here on campus. And again, you need to meet all 4 selecting criteria to be admitted to business. So again, all those prerequisites done, the IGETC certification or breadth requirements done, the GPA, and the time frame. If all 4 are not met, then again, you would be discontinued from business. But that, again, is where working with your advisor is going to be really important to make sure we keep you on track, because our goal is to get everybody into the business administration program. Now, there are 2 additional housekeeping issues that I did want to bring up. One of them is that you do need to attend an application workshop for the quarter that you're going to be applying for the major. So if you're finishing everything in the fall, you got lucky, you got everything you needed, you're applying for the fall, in November and December we're holding workshops, you attend one of those, and that gets the application process rolling. If you're one of those students that was approved for an extension into winter, then you'd be actually applying during the winter quarter and you'd attend a workshop at that time. We have all of our workshop dates already set out for the next few quarters up in our office here in Olmsted, so just please make sure you stop by the office in order to get the times and sign up for one of those workshops. The very last thing that I want to remind all of you is that as a business prep student, you are going to have a hold on your registration until you officially get into the major. You won't be able to register for classes until you get this hold taken care of. Now for fall, obviously we've already gotten you into your classes, but for winter, which registration will start in November, you are going to have a hold. So you need to make sure that you see your advisor 2 to 3 days before your actual registration time to make sure that you get that hold taken off. The reason we have the hold is to check in with you, make sure your courses are going okay. If you were someone with the extension, to make sure you're enrolling in the right classes for the winter. It's really to help guide you along to make sure that you have every opportunity to get into the business administration major. Again, this is a partnership. We as advisors are here for you, to help you, but at the same time, it's your responsibility to make sure that you meet all of the selecting requirements. Again, if you have any questions, please make an appointment with your academic advisor. We will be more than happy to go over all of this more in depth for you. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you here in the fall.